So, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining this session. It's an introduction to Advance, which is the Women in Transport mentoring programme. Women in Transport is a professional network, a non-profit, and we support the professional development of women working in the transport sector. Advance is our mentoring programme, and it has been going for 5 years now, and we're soon to be launching our 6th-year programme. The programme was designed and is delivered by myself and Angela Gainsford, who is away. No? Angela is a fantastic member of Women in Transport, a long-standing member of Women in Transport, and we were originally tasked with a pilot programme in 2017, and we never imagined that we would still be here 5 years later and launching into our 6th year. The programme for 2022 was sponsored by TXM Group, National Express, Network for Skills, and Xanta Rail. And I'm delighted that they're sponsoring again for the 2023 programme and are joined by WSP in sponsoring the programme. That sponsorship means that we can offer the programme as part of the membership of Women in Transport, which is just £60 for the year, as individuals, and applications are open for women to apply for be mentees, and applications are open for mentors who are men or women or girls of colour identify that work in the transport sector, senior managers and above. I'll talk a little bit more about how you go about applying for the 2023 programme towards the end of today's session, but for now what I really want to do is introduce our fabulous guest speakers for today. We have Dal Kalalari, Gary Lincoln, Eba Kawambe, and Kelly Wiltshire, who will be talking about their experiences of being mentors and mentees on the 2022 programme. So first up, without further ado, we have Dal Kalalari, who is also the regional lead for Women in Transport West Midlands. Welcome, Dal.
Thank you, Sonia. So, as Sonia said, my name's Dal. My day job, I'm a sales and partnership director here at National Express. And then I also manage the hub for the West Midlands. And so my first experience for being a mentor for Women in Transport last year, and I agreed to be the mentor, but in all honesty, inside I was kind of nervous, filled with doubt and trepidation, not necessarily about who I would be paired with and whether they'd be a nice, friendly mentee, but more about myself, really. What I didn't want to let my mentee down, and I wanted to make sure that, I rose to the challenge and gave her the best of my experience. So my doubts were about myself and my capability in performing that role well for my mentee, because I felt my mentee would deserve that from me. So, would my insights, my experience, would that be enough to help and guide in the right way? I'd had experience about being a mentor at work, so here at National Express, but that was more around what National Express do and how National Express's culture was. And I've really only ever worked in bus as an industry within the transport sector. So my mentee could potentially be working across different parts of the transport sector. So would I be able to add any value was my doubt, my biggest doubt. So the relationship started, and quite quickly my concerns and my doubts were kind of put to the side, and we built up a good rapport. It was very much a two-way relationship. I gained confidence as I saw my mentee gain confidence. And after every session, I would reflect after the sessions as well around what we'd spoken about and how my mentee had applied the advice and guidance that we'd spoken about collectively in our sessions. It quickly became apparent to me that we had developed a deep understanding, and we were quite clear about the type of help and the guidance. We'd spent some time at the beginning of the relationship talking about what do we want to achieve with our relationship and how would I best be able to guide and offer advice And we used some of the tools that we were given in our training and wrote it down, and so that we clearly articulated between each other what we wanted to achieve with that relationship. And that was almost our guiding principle that we'd go back to every so often. So that really helped. I went on the journey as a mentor, as I said myself. The satisfaction for me came from seeing the success achieved by my mentee. I saw her confidence grow, and she found her voice, and that absolutely delighted me. It's, you know, in terms of your working life, you get satisfaction from your own achievements, but when your satisfaction is coming from somebody else's achievements, that takes you to another level, and you really appreciate how much you can guide someone and their input into receiving that advice. It's one thing advising someone on, you know, particular techniques, what they could say, how they could perform. But for them to actually take on board that advice, that's the really strong pull. And that is something that I would advocate everyone kind of steps back and appreciates a bit. My mentee, she I saw her grow in confidence. She found her voice. Every session we'd talk about a particular action. Now, they didn't have to be big actions. You know, it wasn't about, you know, I'm going to change the world in 30 days. They were 9 times out of 10, it was very small actions that she would take, and we'd discuss at the beginning, and then we would see and we'd reflect back on it and see, well, how did you deploy that action? What did it mean? How has it affected you? How do you feel now? And so that was really insightful for me personally, to know that I was on the right track, that my advice, guidance, support, help was having the right kind of impact. It also gave us something to aim for the next session. My mentee would know that I would ask her the questions in, well, how did this bit go? How did you develop when we spoke about this area? And therefore, that's the kind of focus between sessions. We've had more than 6 sessions in our relationship, and it's been 1 a month predominantly, just over an hour or an hour's session. And I encouraged, I supported and suggested ways in which to progress. And we discussed different types of behaviour, different types of responses that she might achieve, depending on which way she would take the advice. Like I said, they weren't always big ticket items. Sometimes it was just small, inconsequential stuff like instigating a meeting with her boss. But it did have profound effect and impact on her confidence and on the perception from her boss. So she got noticed because she took the lead. She would advocate that, you know, certain behaviours weren't right and that this is how it was making her feel. And so being able to articulate that in a way with confidence to her boss made her appear and sound confident and self-assured, and therefore her boss took more notice of her. The wins in our time together, my mentee has achieved so many wins, and I'm so proud of her. She challenged her new boss about the trust and relationship that they were developing. She passed her exams with flying colours, shining through as a leader of the group for joint assignments, taking control and driving her team hard. And this was from in a very short space of time. So all of the abilities, the capabilities were hers. And it was just a case of encouragement and slight nudges and saying, you could do this. And for her to be able to reflect and look back on, well, yes, I did this. I was full of fear and trepidation myself, but, you know, she moved in sync with me, and you know, she achieved such a lot in such a short space of time. And it made me so happy for her. She joined her local Women in Transport hub as a volunteer and now is actively involved. And again, by having advocates, being able to talk to people, like-minded people in similar situations with your career, that helps you gain confidence. It gives you different tools in your armory in how to deal with situations. She's applied for new jobs, and jobs that were a stretch for her and that she would never have thought of applying for beforehand. Again, small nudges, and just being able to reflect and make sure that we could, talk about the experience and recognize the kind of the differences in her personality, in how she was, the confidence that she was showing, and the impact that that had on her surroundings, on people she worked with, and more importantly on her and her can do, and I've got this and I can nail this kind of attitude. So for me, being a mentor, hugely rewarding. It tests your capability to listen and to kind of identify the right type of help and the extent to which you're going to nudge someone to do something in a particular way, or suggest different ways in which they could do things. So, it's not always easy as a mentor either, but hugely rewarding. Give them the space to listen and learn, and enjoy the experience. And I think that if I was going to advise anyone coming onto the mentor side program, would be very much that. It's be honest, be open, make sure you give each other space, make sure you reflect on what went well, what didn't go so well, what could you have done better in those scenarios, and just relax and enjoy it and create that friendship. And I'd love, for me, success would look like I've made a friend during this process, and it did become more of a two-way process. There's lots that I learned from my mentee as well, and I'd highly recommend it to everyone. Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Dal. And this is why we do these sessions, because I think the mentors and the mentees are the best advocates for the programme once they've been through it. And thank you for volunteering your time and giving you all the time to Women in Transport. Really, really appreciate it, Dal. There was so much in what Dal said. If you've got questions actually for any of our speakers today, or for myself, then do pop them in the chat, and we'll also have an opportunity to ask them at the end, once all our speakers have spoken. There was so much that Dal covered. I think it was so important that, from a mentor perspective, it is about that language of nudging and encouraging and suggesting and advising, because ultimately what the mentee decides to do with that advice is up to them, which is very different from other relationships, professional relationships. But it's really heartwarming to hear that you found a friend through that fantastic mentoring partnership that you formed. Now, next up we have Gary Lincoln. Now, Gary Lincoln, he is somebody everyone should have a Gary Lincoln in their life, is what I say, is his tagline on his on his Twitter, and that came from me, not least because he buys your cake when you meet him. I love cake. So Gary has been a mentor on every programme of Advance. He's also one of the sponsors of the programme through TXM Group. And actually, I met Gary when Advance was still an idea, was a pilot idea, and without his support, we wouldn't have had the first pilot programme. So I'm incredibly grateful for his support over the last 5 years and coming into this 6th-year programme. He's also the external partnerships lead for Women in Transport as a volunteer, so he gives a huge amount of time to support us. So thanks, Gary, and we look forward to hearing your insights.
Well, that introduction is far too big for me. However, good afternoon, everybody. So thank you for that. Yeah, I've been around the mentoring program from the outset. So I've been a mentor for the 5 years. And at first, if I'm being truly honest, I think the old imposter syndrome crept in a bit about what I felt I could offer someone. Who wants to listen to Gary Lincoln, etc., etc. But I think then what you start to realise, and you learn very quickly, it's not about me. It's not about the other. It's about the other person. It's about, you need to get out your own way and sort of leave your ego at the door almost. And then it's a two-way communication process. And actually, I found that I learned as much from the other person as they did from me. So I'm really grateful for the process and going through that for the last 5 years. So as I said, I've mentored for about the last 5 times, and I've been fabulously matched with 5 brilliant women. However, has it always been easy? No. However, but being a mentor is not about a long-standing relationship where you all go off and you have popcorn in cinemas and things like that later. If that happens, that's brilliant. However, it's not about that long-term relationship. I mean, the relationship could, the mentee could get as much out of it in 3 sessions as you do out of 6 sessions. So it's not about, I mean, sometimes it comes to its natural end after about 3 or 2 sessions when they've got what they need from the mentor, and then maybe you have a relationship where they pick that up in 12 months time or whatever. But but if you do get a long-term relationship out of the process, it's brilliant. And I've still speak to some of the mentees I've mentored through the process now, but it's not about that. It's about actually giving your time to someone else so they can grow. For me, mentoring has really become like a gift, really, and it's a real privilege to help someone overcome a challenge of their own experience or their work life, and sometimes your personal life comes into that, but it has become a real gift. And it's important to me over the years. I've also had some brilliant mentors as well, and to be allowed to impart that knowledge and my experience onto someone else, or give my knowledge and experience onto someone else, and to watch them grow is actually really, really rewarding. The biggest thing, and it's an old saying, but the biggest thing we can give is our time. It's the greatest commodity we can give, and being able to spend time to use that knowledge and experience to assist others, and to watch them grow, and hopefully knock down doors for future generations to come through as well. Because actually what we're doing is we're imparting and we're passing our knowledge, the parcel of knowledge, onto the next generation, so they can then go on and knock down doors for other people as well. So the challenge, there's been challenges at the beginning. What I didn't realize at the beginning was it is a two-way process. There's as much learning from me as there is from the other person, and being able to get out my own way was really important. I can talk and over talk things sometimes. So I think Dal said also that ability to listen more than you talk sometimes, and you quickly learn to do that over the process as well. And I've now done it over 5 times, and now I've become, on the back of the mentoring thing, I've now become an executive coach and gone through my diploma and training for that as well. So there is a forward career after it if you want to go down that route as well. But to give back, I've said before, to give back is really, really so rewarding. And I think to go into, I mean, Dal's covered lots of things, but if you go into it with a mindset of what you can give the relationship rather than what you get from it, I think it's a complete mindset shift. And it's a book I recommend called The Go-Giver. If no one's read that, I would totally recommend that book. But it talks about going into relationships, about what you can give it rather than what you can take from it, and that's personal and business as well. So we've all got this so-called imposter syndrome, including a gobby recruitment consultant called Gary Lincoln, but it really truly is a unique opportunity to learn from each other. It's a joint learning experience. I would say don't overthink it. You're here, however, it's like it's an hour of other people's time that you give back to them, okay? And I would say mentoring is that key to unlock future potential for other people as well. My mentee's gone on to win awards and a brilliant career, and that's not all down to me, even though I'll take some of the credit. But it's not all down to me, but she's been brilliant, and we've done about 8 sessions now, and we're going to carry on after September as well, because we've got an arrangement that we're going to carry on for the next, until she needs me, and then she gets bored of me and moves on to someone else. But I can thoroughly recommend it to everyone who is thinking about just giving a bit of their time. I mean, it's an hour every other month or more if they need it, but it's an hour every month, but it's a thoroughly rewarding process. I think that's enough from me.
Thanks so much, Gary. So Gary and Dal mentioned the number of sessions actually in sharing their experience. So we do have a structure for the advanced program. And so that is 6 1-hour sessions is the commitment that both the mentees and mentors make between January and September. So I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. Now we have two fantastic mentees. Now, from the mentee side, any woman member of Women in Transport can apply to be a mentee, and they can be at any level in their career. They can be in any discipline, and it's completely open. What we do ask is that when you apply for the mentee side and the mentoring side, that you tell us what it is you want to get out of this program, because it is really important in the matching process that we find somebody who can, to the best of their ability, help you achieve your objectives. And as you can see from just two examples of our mentors, they're really passionate about helping you. They want to help you. They don't always have all the answers, but they absolutely try their best to help you. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Kelly Wiltshire, who's going to talk about her experience from a mentee perspective.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Wiltshire. I'm based up in the northeast of Scotland, and like many people after the pandemic and at the end of lockdown and working full time and homeschooling and stuff for some time, I got to the point of last year thinking, I really just didn't feel like I was progressing in my career. I felt like I was just sort of treading water, and then this program came along and I thought, this is something I could do, focus on myself and my career after the last sort of couple of years and see what happens, sort of thing. So I went in with a fairly open mind, and I know Sonia was saying you should have goals and know what you wanted, but I actually went into this mentoring scheme knowing that I wanted to change and I wanted to progress and I wanted to increase my confidence, but I didn't really know how I wanted to do that. I didn't really have any particular set goals that I wanted to achieve other than I want to change. And that was something that I found really good. I felt that I was well matched with my mentor. I had asked if I could get someone who was experienced with juggling a family and a career, which I got, which was great. And I think that really helped. And certainly from my personal point of view, having these dedicated sessions fairly regularly in your calendar, that you knew you had a deadline, if you like, to do the task that you'd set yourself, and even just having that set aside time to focus on yourself and your own career, which when you're busy and you've got a family and things, often you just don't take time to do. I find really, really helpful and quite powerful, actually. I think it's really important just to set aside that time for yourself. What I enjoyed most was the rapport and the relationship that I had with my mentor very quickly. It was a very friendly, happy, positive experience. And whilst we've never actually met in public, because we live in opposite ends of the country, I hope that we will be able to at some point. You know, I do feel like we've got that sort of good rapport going on. I also really enjoyed the wider network with the advanced group with all the other mentees. We'd meet about quarterly as a group, often on a Friday morning, and just have a chat with each other and just sort of learn from each other. And it was really nice to have that wider network as well. The hardest part for me was absolutely the setting goals. And I think that's where my mentor really came into her own with it. We spent the first sort of 1 or 2 sessions actually just working out what it was we wanted to achieve. And I think that was really important. And I think also realizing that all your goals don't have to be this big life-changing. It can be quite small goals. It can be literally updating your CV, you know, rewriting your LinkedIn profile. You know, they can be really small things, but actually make a really big difference. I also wanted to do some postgraduate studies, so I'd managed to sign up for some postgraduate courses, and I was doing them at the same time as my mentoring, and I found that really helpful, actually, just to build up my confidence and to focus on myself as well. So yeah, absolutely, I would say it was a really positive experience. I found even just using our mentoring relationship as having someone to bounce off ideas, saying, if I say something like this, and just sort of getting someone to say, oh, actually, maybe reword it to this, or have you thought about it from this different angle and things. Just having somebody there, a bit like the imposter syndrome, just having someone there championing you, saying, yes, you can do this. Have you thought about it in a slightly different way? So I find that really, really helpful. I would certainly recommend anyone just to go for it, have an open mind, stretch yourself, challenge yourself, get out of your comfort zone. And also, if you can, certainly try and give back as well. I'm now the volunteer coordinator for the Scotland region of Women in Transport. And I feel like, you know, because I've had such a positive experience from my mentoring relationship, I now want to give back something to Women in Transport as well. And certainly I feel at the end of this process, my confidence has grown. I'm much more aware of how I go about my day-to-day life and things. And that certainly has all been a huge part of this program. So yeah, I would certainly recommend it to anyone, and hopefully you'll have as positive experience as I have.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Kelly. It's so powerful to hear your experience, and I have to say, Advance is one of my proudest professional achievements, just seeing how much the mentees and mentors get out of it. So really thank you, and thank you for volunteering your time to support the Women in Transport Scotland Hub too. And next up, we have Ebba Kwambe from TfL, who is going to share her experience. And I know that, Ebba, you had really definitive objectives, didn't you, at the other end of the scale?
So I was actually just reflecting on my first meeting when I was listening to Kelly, and I was thinking I must have really bombarded my mentor, because I was like, I need help with this, I need help with this, I need help with this, and then it's kind of I was jumping around, and then at the end of my first session I just had to take a step back and think, oh my gosh, I don't want to bombard her with everything, so I have to really plan myself. So anyway, let me take a step back and introduce myself. So my name's Ebba. I work in Transport for London, and I think at the time I joined Women in Transport, it was actually through just a conversation I was having with one of my colleagues. And I was at a stage in my career where I was so comfortable doing what I was doing. I actually signed up to become a volunteer as a governor for 2 special needs schools. So I thought, okay, this is just going to get things going. And then when I applied for the advanced scheme, I really didn't think I was going to be selected. So when I got the email, I was over the moon. I was like, okay, I really need to rethink how I'm going to do this. So so fast forward to my first meeting with my mentor, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is like the perfect match, right? Who would have really thought that this is going to be working? Because it was really nice to have the first meeting with her and understand in terms of her background, what she was able to support me with, and also what I needed support with. But then after the first session, I had to apologize, and I said, I've actually asked you for too much, so let me take a step back and just replan. And and I think that really helped, because the other thing also just to mention is you are given the tools of how you can be able to structure your mentee meetings. So I found that really useful. So our second meeting, I think, was a lot more structured. And really just one thing to bring out of that is a lot of the mentors are volunteering their own personal time and are really busy people. So you have to plan what you're going to say. And that 1 hour sometimes can go very quickly. And, it's really just trying to make the most of your time, because those 6 sessions can go very quickly. For myself, I was really just at a stage where I wanted to be really honest in terms of, this is what I'm doing now, this is where I want to get to. And then with my mentor, we were able to create a plan in terms of, luckily enough, there was a role that became available at the time the scheme started. So I decided to go for that role, and I was offered a secondment at the time, which, I didn't think I was going to be selected. But through that secondment, it was really stepping out of my comfort zone. I was so used to doing my day-to-day, and it was really shifting that thinking of, how am I going to move from my day-to-day to actually, focus on this role and make sure that I'm delivering my best. So fast forward, I did manage to interview for the permanent role, which I was successful. And I really give credit to my mentor, because she was able to tell me what a lot of people don't really say in interviews. If you've come second or third, for example, in an interview, and they say, sorry, you haven't got the job, you know, you always get that feedback of how can I do better? And then you always get the same answers. And I felt like I was stuck in that cycle. But it was really nice to just hear from my mentor in terms of how I can get out of that cycle and how I can bring a bit more and, you know, bring my personality to the table, which I think when you get interviews, you only get like an hour and a half just to present yourself. And it's really, the advice that she gave me was really important in terms of understanding how to bring my best into the interview and really how to excel. So I am proud to say that I was selected for the permanent role, and I've only just started the role. I'd probably say about a month in, but through that mentoring experience, it's really helped shape and guide how I want my future role to look like, because it's now more strategic. And she's still continuing to give me advice in terms of how I can be able to do that. So, I mean, in terms of the one piece of advice I would give is really make time for your career and invest in yourself. Because like my mentor, I'm a full-time working parent. I never make time for myself. I always make time for other people. And I very rarely think about, what does Ebba really want? You know, what do I really want to do at the end of the day? And it also made me think about my volunteering role in terms of how can I be able to add value. I don't just want to be the face of you know of the role. How can I be able to make my contribution? So the advice that she's given me, I think, will carry me through for a really long time. And going back to one of the questions which I remember my mentor asked me, and she said, what do you want to achieve out of this? And I said, I hope after the 6 sessions we can still keep in contact. And we both laughed after it. But then in all seriousness, I do hope that, you know, we can be able to continue that working relationship in terms of, you know, just having somebody who you can be able to bounce ideas off. And I also understood and I realized that it was a two-way process, because I was learning a lot from her, but then she was also asking me a lot of questions in terms of understanding more about me, which I found really insightful. So we ended up having very good conversations and very meaningful conversations. And it was really good to have tangible results at the end of this. So yeah, the key thing I would say is make more time for yourself, invest in yourself, because nobody else can invest in yourself apart from yourself. And also you'll be given the tools that you can be able to plan on how you can be able to make the most out of the program as well. So I would definitely encourage anybody who's even thinking about going for this, even though you don't have any particular milestones, you know, set in place, just put yourself out there. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, you know? And I mean, I've got to meet some amazing people in this program. And also, you may have probably heard Kelly talk about this earlier. I really love connecting with the other mentees as well, because it's nice to hear other people's perspectives on where they are in life and bounce ideas off, and also just understand you're not alone. You know, you're also part of a much bigger community that does amazing things. And it's also inspiring actually listening to the other mentors as well in terms of their take on it and their experiences as well. Yeah, so I would definitely encourage anybody who is thinking about applying to definitely apply. And yeah, I think that's it for me. Thank you, Sonia.
Oh, thank you, Emma. Oh, so much energy and enthusiasm. I hope everybody else feels as energized as I do hearing from our fantastic mentees and mentors. So has anybody got any questions for any of our mentees and mentors? I haven't seen anything come up in the chat. So be sure. Now's your opportunity to ask. Okay. While we're waiting for some questions to come up, I'm going to cover a bit of practicality about Advanced 2023. So Advanced 2023 is sponsored by TXM Group, National Express, Network for Skills, Xanta Rail and WSP. And so therefore, all you need to do is be a member of Green Transport to apply for the programme. As I mentioned, it's £60 for the year if you aren't already a member, and you can apply through the website, greentransport.com. Our applications will open on Friday, 30th of September, which is next Friday. It's an online application form. It's very straightforward to fill in, but there are a couple of really key questions. So There's an application form for mentees, an application form for returning mentors, which is slightly shorter than the mentor one, and then the new mentors application form. Now, the key thing is there are some basic questions about your role, what you do, who you are. But the really important question is, what do you want to get out of the programme? Now, you heard from Ebba and Kelly about their own experience, and hopefully you can see that everybody's mentoring experience relationship is unique, and what they're trying to get out of it is unique. Now, we don't know what it is you want to try to get out of the programme and where you are in your life and your career, and so we haven't got a crystal ball. So it's really important to us, it's myself and Angela who read every single application. There are no algorithms involved. And so we need to understand what it is you want to get out of it. And you don't have to have a massive objective or goal, but we need to understand enough about what you're trying to achieve with those successions in order to match you with somebody who's appropriate. And it is important to us to know what you don't want in terms of matching as what you do want. So we have a virtual program. There are 30 pairs available for the 2023 program. The commitment is 6 one-hour sessions, but as you heard from all of our speakers today, some of the mentoring pairs have agreed between themselves that they will do more sessions. So some mentors offer 1 session a month, but that is within their gift. They are volunteering their time. They're not paid in any way to do the programme, and so it's up to them to give their time if they choose to do that, and if you agree that with them. It is as important when you're thinking about applying for the programme to think about how much time you have to commit to the programme, because it is important that you carve out that time for yourself. So those 1-hour sessions, it's not just those 1-hour sessions. We highly recommend that you put aside some reflection time before the sessions, some time between the sessions to do your actions, and also some time after each of the sessions to consolidate your thinking. So just think about that. It can seem daunting, and one of the bits of feedback we've had from the programme is that myself and Andrew scared a couple of mentees last year with saying how serious it is, and you need to be courteous and respect the time of the mentors. But it's not because we're trying to scare anybody, it's because we want you to make the most out of this and to succeed. So often people find it best to carve out that time when they're first starting out. The other thing is that we offer training, and that is mandatory as part of the process, because it is an opportunity for you to meet the other mentees or mentors on your respective cohorts, but also an opportunity for us to talk through some tools and suggestions to set you up for success. And that's based on 5 years of experience and feedback that we've had from across our mentees and mentors. We have a toolkit that we offer, and that toolkit has, as Ebba and Kelly have mentioned, and Gary and Dal have, it's got some guidance around how to structure your sessions, and also there's a whole load of resources that we've gathered together over the last few years. So the applications are open for 2 weeks from the 30th of September. It's an online application form through Google Forms, and any woman member of Women in Transport can apply to be a mentee, mentors, senior managers and above in the transport sector, regardless of gender. Let's see a couple of questions. What's the balance between men and women mentors? Are mentees surprised if they get a male mentor? Do you try and get a balance, or is it all about the match being the right fit and chemistry? If I know someone who would benefit from the programme, either as a mentee or mentor, can I recommend them even if they're not currently a member of Women in Transport? Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Steve. Got a lot of questions. So the balance is roughly 50-50 of men and women mentors on the programme. And we're fortunate we have a lot of male allies in transport. You do have the option to say whether you prefer a man or a woman. But what I would say is to have an open mind about your match, because as much as possible, what Andrew and I try to do is look at what you're trying to achieve through the programme. And so if you give us a bit of flexibility, we will always try to match you with somebody we think will help you achieve your goals. And sometimes that match might be surprising to you, but we'll say, just to blow our own trumpet for the moment, our matching is scored 8.9 out of 10, 10 being excellent, by both the mentees and mentors. So we do our best to match you with this ability.
Can I just add something there?
Yes.
The reason the training is mandatory is we often pick up on things that you say during the training that helps us with the pairing as well. As Sonia said, there isn't an algorithm, and sometimes it subtly influences. We provisionally pair you before the training, so we know who's going to be on the programme. But occasionally there's a bit of swapping around because we've listened to what people have said, particularly the mentees during the session. We don't massively rearrange everything, but there is sometimes some changing of the pairs.
Yeah. It's our opportunity as well to meet everybody and see a little bit of your personality as well, and to see the mentors' personalities, the mentees' personalities, and try and work out to best ability whether we think those personalities might go together. There isn't we don't do like a chemistry session or anything like that, because we spend quite a lot of time considering a number of factors when we do the matching. It is a virtual program, so as Kelly mentioned, her mentor is in a completely different part of the country, but it's because that now having a virtual program means it removes that barrier of geography from it, and it means that we can make you a much better match actually on what you actually want from that person, as opposed to be constrained by a geographical boundary. When we first started Advance, it was an in-person program. If you know someone who would benefit from the program, yes, you can definitely recommend them for the program, recommend that they apply for the program, but they will have to join Women in Transport to apply for the program. And in the first couple of years, that wasn't a requirement. We used to let people do the membership after they had been selected, but then it created a lot of admin and chasing and just a bit of a headache for us. So honestly, that we don't do that anymore. And I think being a member of Women in Transport has lots of other benefits other than being part of the program. So I think even if you're not successful in the application, and of course not everybody can be successful in the application, then there are still lots of benefits to networking with others in the industry. I've got a couple more questions there. National highways, so National Highways don't at the moment have a corporate membership with Women in Transport, working on it, so you could have a word and encourage them to take one if you wish. It'd be a good opportunity to do that, but they don't at the moment, so it is £60 for the year. Is the training in person? If so, where is it held and how long does it last? It is virtual, just like the rest of the programme, and it's held via Zoom. It is a 2-hour briefing session, and the dates will be on the website on the 30th of September. I think it's, from memory, it's the 14th and the 16th of November for the mentee ones, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the mentor ones were, but they're all in November. And as I said, it is mandatory to attend them. Is that all the questions? Any other questions from anybody? The only other thing I haven't discussed is the engagement, and I'll just briefly cover it, and then maybe Steve, if you want to add anything to that. So we offer mentor and mentor engagement sessions as part of the programme. So that's additional support on top of the toolkit and the training. And that's led by 2 of our volunteers. So Steve Griffiths, who's here in the call today, and is our events lead for Women in Transport. He's also the mentor engagement lead. And we've got Kirsten Gallier, who's one of our board members, who is the mentee engagement lead. So both Steve has been a mentor on the programme, and Kirsten has been a mentee in the previous programme. And what they do is they organise 3 engagement sessions during the programme. So one in December before you officially meet with your mentor, one midway in April, and one towards the end of September. So the programme runs from January to September. And they also run the WhatsApp groups for the respective cohorts. Steve, do you want to share anything else?
Well, just really to support what you said, really, the engagement sessions, the feedback we're getting from those is really important. Certainly from the mentor engagement, which I sort of run, getting the mentors together, and both Dal and Gary both spoke a little bit about imposter syndrome and what can I offer and things like that. Having a cohort of other mentors that you can talk to and share things with is really, really important. And we do quite a lot of work on getting the mentors to talk to each other. Obviously, during the process, any relationship, any discussion between the mentor and mentee is totally confidential, and so there's no sharing of any information or anything like that. But sometimes if a mentor needs to help their mentee with an area that they're not particularly familiar with, they may well know through the networking another mentor who can help support. So it's really a really powerful sort of networking thing, and we're building up an alumni of past mentors as well, because unlike Gary, not everybody does every year. It depends on the matching, but these engagement sessions are really powerful in terms of building the confidence of the teams of mentors, and I know from Kirsten, and I've attended some of the mentee engagement sessions as well, they're really powerful as well. And it was good to hear, I think, Kelly say that there's also on the back of that a sort of a regular monthly or bi-monthly catch up between the mentees, where they sort of share experiences and comments. So it's not just you and your mentor that you get out of this. There is a bigger network of people that are there to support it. So I thoroughly recommend it for that reason. In terms of, and again, Gary said, it's not just about giving to the mentor. I've learned so much from this, and I did when I was a mentor. So really, really support it and recommend that if you're going to get involved and be a mentor or a mentee, the engagement sessions are just part of that package that really, really help. To help you develop through the process.
Brilliant, thanks, Steve. And you can see from there, so from Steve's experience, he built up from being a mentor with Women in Transport, then volunteering, and eventually now become a board member. So that process over 3 or 4 years now, of how you can get more and more involved as you go along. And Kelly mentioned herself how she went from being on advance to being part of our Scottish Hub team. What other benefits do you get through joining Women in Transport, and do you have any seminars on topics, etc.? And Andrew has also shared the dates and times for the mentee and mentor training. So yeah, other benefits through joining Women in Transport. So we offer a very wide range of events, which is led by the wonderful Steve there. And increasingly our regional hubs are running events as well. So we ran 42 events last year, which is a lot. So you can work out for yourself the cost benefit of £60 for the year. And they're a wide range of events. They're mostly virtual, although we've started to introduce in-person ones again. Most of the core programme will remain virtual, however. They're on a wide range of topics, so they can be on technical projects or professional development stuff, soft skills stuff, like building confidence, public speaking, stakeholder engagement, or like personal topics. Like we've had the financial wellbeing one last week, which is one of our Morrison's wellbeing. And actually, if you're a member of Women in Transport, you can get a one-to-one 45-minute free consultation with them as well, just to review your finances, which is particularly beneficial at this time with the cost of living crisis. And we've got the introduction to menopause one next week. It's the 6th of October.
Yeah, week after, yeah.
6th of October. And that's actually open to non-members. So if you've got any colleagues, friends who would be interested in that, the details are on the website. It's a virtual session. It's over lunchtime. So it's well worth dialing into. We've got a couple of bigger receptions coming up as well. So Steve and I were just talking about this. The autumn reception is going to be in Birmingham at the mailbox, the WSP office. It's on 13th of October in the evening. And we've got Mince Pies and Networking, which is on the 8th of December in London in Embankment. So there's also opportunities to volunteer, as Kelly and Steve and Gary and Dal do, with any of the regional teams or across any of the work streams that we have. There's lots of opportunities for networking. We have our informal networking sessions every month. We offer partner discounts often through various partners that we have. So, for example, Move conference, which is normally just under £1,000 to attend. If you're a private sector, we normally get quite a few free tickets for that event. So again, it's worth the cost of your membership. And we have the leadership development program as well, which is for mid-career women in transport. Though it is a paid program, it is accessible if you're a member of Women in Transport, and it runs 3 times a year. Other than that, we have our all-party parliamentary group for Women in Transport. So there's opportunities to network and get involved in the policy group and to drive forward policy around gender balance in the transport sector. And we have the Diversity and Inclusion Bus Group, which is a group that was formed in 2019 and works together to support bus and coach industry around promoting careers in bus and also promoting greater diversity and inclusion in the bus sector. So it's quite a lot for £60 per year, in my opinion. And you get to be part of a fantastic supportive community of like-minded individuals. And so it's open to both men and women. So I would highly encourage everybody to join. It absolutely transformed my life to become a member of Women in Transport. I was a transport planner back in 2008 when I joined, and I became a volunteer board member in 2013. And it's safe to say I wouldn't be sitting here today here if it hadn't been for the impact of the Women in Transport network. Bristol actually comes under the central region at the moment, so effectively the main membership, although there are talks ongoing about a couple of more regions which Bristol would fit into. So watch this space. We have launched 3 new regions this year. So we now have, was asked, is there a Birmingham group? Yes, there is Birmingham group. Actually, Dal is here today as our West Midlands lead. And that launched this year, May. This year, we've also got Wales, Yorkshire, North West and North East as hubs. And yeah, Gary always says the more you put into your membership, the more you get out of it. So I don't know if any of the other panelists want to weigh in or comment on being a member of Women in Transport, because obviously I'm biased.
I'm a member of a number of professional bodies, and I've been on a committee for one of them. This is the one I stuck with because it's a great bunch of people. Yeah, over the years. And some really interesting sessions, career development, other people's professional projects, all sorts of things. So yeah, huge fan.
Thanks so much, Angela. And I wouldn't have got to meet Angela if it hadn't been for Women in Transport. And she's just the best. So anybody else got any other comments, questions, anything they want to cover? No, not seeing any hands raised. Or so brilliant. In which case, this session has been recorded and will be shared on the new Advanced page for Advanced 2023, which will go live on Friday, 30th of September. Thanks to everybody for joining us. I actually give you back 33 minutes to your day. A huge thank you to all of our speakers. I really appreciate your time to share your insights and to spread the good word about Advance. And a huge thanks to all of the volunteers at Women in Transport for everything you do every day to support us. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.